Today we have Jasmine Nijjar. Jasmine Nijjar is the owner and founder of Ruex Cafe and Bar, an Australian-inspired dining experience in Surrey. She's a master of brand, hospitality, and community building. Jasmine, welcome to ThinkSpace.
What an intro. Thank you.
How you feeling?
I'm excited.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Okay, so literally I was just giving you your graces before we started. But I wanted to have you on here because, like I said, I think you are one of the most creative, inspiring, brand forward, strategy forward business people I've met. And when we have chats, you truly it's like I literally have electrolytes. I'm reinvigorated. And I mean that. I'm not talking shit. Even the first project that we worked together on, the hallway. Yeah. It was just so unique and so different. And I'm just so excited for people to kind of get a little bit of I feel like zhuzh from your brain, you know?
That was a fun project.
That was a fun project.
Yeah, very Met Gala.
Very Met Gala. Yeah. So let's get started. When did your entrepreneurial journey start? What is your vibe? Were you a born entrepreneur? Did you become an entrepreneur? What's your vibe? How did you get into this world?
I feel like as my entrepreneurial journey was very much inspired by my family and my dad and my mom and just the things that they would do and how we kind of grew up. Mm-hmm. And so, something that my dad always told me was that you always have to have multiple streams of income and that you're not going to change your station in life. You're not going to improve your life if you only have one stream of income. Mm-hmm. And so from a very young age, I was always in the mindset of okay, I need to be doing multiple things. I need to be just doing better, getting better kind of thing. And so I was very inspired by my family.
So is your family in business?
Yeah. So my dad, it's the very typical brown person story in Surrey. I feel when you, you're a contractor, and my dad also drove cabs, and in his generation, you own the cab as well. Mm-hmm. And so, that kind of entrepreneurial spirit, you don't have a consistent paycheck. It's what you make of it. You eat what you kill. And so that was very much the inspiration behind just my entrepreneurial journey. And then, I went to university and did my master's degree. And so that was okay, I'm going to go into the corporate world, and then, okay, what am I going to do from here kind of thing. So just very much.
And when you're thinking at that point, I'm in university, I'm going to go into the corporate world, I'm going to do this thing, are you thinking oh, maybe I can do something else? Or are you no, this is my path at that point?
Wait, ask the question again.
At that time when you're in university,
yeah,
and you're learning, you're growing, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go into a corporate space.
Yeah.
Are you thinking at all there's something else I want to do?
No, I think what had happened in my experience was I went to university, then got into the corporate world and just started working a traditional 9 to 5, and then got many years into the 9 to 5. And then realized that there are way more hours than just 9 to 5, and that I can do more. And that I've always been that kind of person that's a very hard worker and will try to outwork everybody that they're with kind of thing. And so once I was in the corporate world, that's when I was you know what, I can do more than just making money for somebody else kind of thing.
Okay, so you're in the corporate world. You're I could do more. There's more. I love how you say there's more hours to the day. There's more to be done.
There's more to be done.
Yeah, I love it. So that's such a entrepreneurial spirit in your heart.
Yeah.
So as you're starting that, you're thinking that, you're feeling that.
Yeah.
What's brewing in your mind?
Okay, so I'm now, so this is in Australia. I'm working for a hospitality group, the biggest hospitality group in the Southern Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. They own Nobu, Dinner by Heston, Gradi, any kind of big major. So I'm working for this hospitality group, kind of learning the ins and outs of just how everything's kind of being done from a marketing and operations standpoint. And then I'm also just inspired by brunch culture in Melbourne specifically. Mm-hmm. And I
And what is it like there? What is brunch culture like there?
Okay, everybody asked me this. They're like, what is Australian brunch?
Okay, I also need to go to Australia because I heard they have the best flat whites.
They do?
Yes?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so an Australian brunch is an experience. Like, that's what it is. Like, when you go to brunch, it's an experience. You have the best ingredients. You have the most unique and inventive dishes. You're having a few drinks with it, espresso martinis and Caesars and your mimosas, and there's good music playing. Everybody's dressed up, and I
get it. It's an event.
It's an event,
yes,
right? But it's like you look forward to it. Kind of thing. And it's what you do on the weekends, and it's, you plan your kind of day around it, and it's an experience. And I just found that wasn't the experience that I was getting in Vancouver. Here and North America in general is very value-driven dining, where for brunch specifically. So it's like, I want to get the most food. So I want like 10 eggs, tons of sausage, bacon, hash browns, everything. And I want to pay $10.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking in my head.
Yeah. So it's value driven.
It's very IHOP-y.
Very IHOP-y, very value driven. So I recognized like while I was in Australia that in Vancouver, there isn't like really good brunch spots. And this is also back in like 2019, 2020. And I also kind of like recognized that there was no brunch spots in Surrey specifically. So the city that I grew up in. And so I was like, you know what? I was like, there's like an idea forming here. I was like, I really want to open like a little brunch cafe in Surrey specifically. And that's like kind of what inspired it was my time in Australia.
Yeah. So were you fully working at this point, or were you in school and working?
I was in school and working. So I was a marketing manager for this hospitality group.
Yeah.
And then at night, I would do night classes to finish my master's degree.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Like the hours were insane, but I've always been like that. I've always been somebody that just like puts in the work, puts in the hours kind of thing. And even to this very day, like they're like working 12 hours is like nothing for me. Kind of thing. I'm sure the burnout will come.
Yeah.
I'm
there's
sure
seasons
it will,
for it.
but there's seasons for it for sure. And I just feel like I'm at that point in my life where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put in 110% into everything that I do, because like for me, like there's like the grass is going to be greener on the other end. Yeah.
And you also have the hours to give.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's smart, right? You're utilizing your time in a way that makes sense for you now.
Yeah.
So, okay, a question that comes up for me is like, did you know that you were going to move back to Surrey while you were in school? Like, was Australia? No. Like, so what was the vibe? Because, like, you're having these thoughts of, like, Surrey doesn't have this brunch culture.
Yeah.
I love this brunch culture. But then, like, I was very curious, like, what was your goal in life at that point?
Honestly, I was just kind of, like, floating. Yeah. And I was just like, I was in my 9 to 5. At that point, I had graduated from university. And I was doing the typical kind of like corporate life where you go 9 to 5 and then you have some drinks after work kind of thing. And you just kind of are like, you're just in the motions of life kind of thing. And you're doing whatever on the weekend. You don't really have like the next step in mind kind of thing. And I was doing that for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, COVID hits. And
so you're in Australia.
I'm in Australia when COVID happens.
Yeah.
And we have, like Melbourne specifically, had the worst lockdown in
You guys
the world.
couldn't leave your house, right?
You couldn't leave your house.
Yeah.
How
did you get groceries?
You could only leave for an hour a day. It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, at that moment, it seemed like what the hell is happening?
And did you live by yourself?
No, I lived with my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah. I lived with my cousin. And so we had each other. But I looked at everybody in Canada who were like living their life.
I know.
So I was like,
thank you, nature, and thank you, life. Yeah.
And so I was in Australia for almost a year in lockdown.
No way.
And doing nothing. And so I was like, you know what? I'm out of here.
And you're an Energizer bunny. So like, how was that on your spirit?
It was just like crazy because, no, let me go back. I kind of loved it, but then kind of hated it. I loved it because I got to spend so much time with my family and I like my family in Australia because I have a huge family in Australia. But then I also hated it because you weren't doing anything. You were just like stuck in this like time zone kind of thing. Like you're not moving forward, you're not moving backwards, you're just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And you had no idea what was gonna, like, how things were gonna change. Like, it was just insane.
I feel like, you know, for the first few months, there's a lot of hope in COVID because you don't know what's coming up. You don't know if it's going to be lifted, this, that, whatever. But then as time went on, it started to feel more dreadful because you're like, oh, you recognize you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
So like how you're like, oh, I'm kind of floating and I'm just like existing and like kind of just doing the thing.
Yeah.
It kind of puts you in a place where you can't think like that anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I made the decision towards the end of 2020. I was like, I'm out of here. And at that point, I had like decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Things were kind of pretty much back to normal in Canada anyway at that point. And yes, I'm crazy because I decided to open the most affected industry during COVID. During fucking COVID.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I believe in my idea and I'm going to just go for it kind of thing. And so I did. I moved back. I actually signed my lease while I was still in Australia. I just had my parents go drive around. And I knew that this area of Surrey, which is going to be the new downtown of Surrey, it was like the up and coming like area, and that's where I needed to be because this was like the downtown core, the central area. I was looking at all the city planning maps, just the investment that was being put in by the city. I could see that there was going to be so much more bigger density. There was all this investment coming from private universities, public universities, like, you know, UBC is opening up a medical campus right across the street from where Rue is now. SFU has already started construction on their medical campus. So there's so much happening in that area. And that was all planned so far in advance. And all this was like public knowledge. So I just like literally just like did some Google searches and stuff and it was very easy to find.
I love how intentional you were.
Yeah. And it was like, and so I was like, okay, I need to do it here. Everyone's always like, oh, you should have opened in White Rock or you should have opened in South Surrey. I was like, no. I was like, this was intentional. This was where I wanted to be. And so I signed my lease in Australia, then moved back and we start working on like all the plans and everything. I hired an interior designer, hire a construction team, and I project manage the whole thing myself. And I submit the plans to for the building permits to the city myself. I like went through everything with a fine tooth comb. And this is where my dad was like such a big help was because we literally went through every single like line item. Like I literally know where all my backflow preventers are. I know like how to you know, where every little inch of like electrical everything is because I, during the building permit process, had to know everything intimately. I wasn't going to submit something because the way the city works was if you submit your plans and there's one thing wrong, they throw you back to the bottom of the pile.
I know.
And so then you have to go back up and you have to wait. So your waiting process just to get your building permits like gets so much more dragged out. And this is something that my dad taught me. He was like, you have to make sure that what you're submitting is perfection. And so that's what we did. And we got our building permits in under 4 months.
Dude,
which
what?
Is unheard of.
That is unheard of.
Yeah, unheard of. We got our building permits in under 4 months.
Yo.
And then we started construction right away.
Yeah.
We started construction and we finished construction in under 6 months.
Wow. So what was that process like? Like, let's slow down and just double clip on that season of life, right? So you are now living back at home, I'm assuming.
At home,
okay, so you're back at home. You are going full force into this dream.
Yeah.
You are also young, right? So it's like you're really putting a lot of energy into this idea.
Yeah.
Like where is your mindset at this point? Like what are you thinking? Do you think that like, are you feeling like, okay, I can do this? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling like I have to do this? Like where's your head at?
I'm delusional.
The Delulu was deluluing.
The Delulu was deluluing, literally. Like I am delusional that that I'm gonna do this. But that's what I think entrepreneurship is that you have to be a little delusional and just a little crazy because that's
how else will you get through it?
That's the only way to get through it is that you have to like have, you know, some level of delusion. But then you gotta back it up. You gotta back it up with work ethic, just knowing things.
And figuring shit out.
Problem solving. Biggest thing is problem solving. And I think that's like where my head was at, was like, okay, this is like a little bit delusional, but now I can do it. And it was just believing in yourself that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And so did it.
Yeah. Okay. So 6 months to build.
Yeah.
So you're getting close to opening.
Yeah.
Where is the world at? What are you thinking? How do you end up going about that?
Yeah. So the world, so COVID is like of the past.
Okay.
Yeah. It's at this stage. And I had told everybody on my team, I'm like, we are opening Mother's Day. Yeah. I was like, we're doing it. And
wow.
everybody thought I was crazy. And I was like, no, I was like, we cannot miss Mother's Day, right? Just by opening one day later or like a week later, I was like, no, I was like, we need to open on Mother's Day. I was like, brunch is like the most important time for brunch is Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So, like all these things are kind of like, okay, it's like things are happening where it's like, okay, it might not happen. But there was some higher power behind me because all these like obstacles that were kind of popping up.
And what were they?
For example, like you have to get your Fraser Health approved. That happened like a day before.
Damn.
And then in order to like you have to have like your liquor license, like the liquor inspector has to come in, make sure that everything is like you have like everything is like according to like what you submitted, your drinks menus, like you're not over serving, your recipes, the amount of bathrooms you have, everything that you've said that you're going to do, you've done kind of thing. So then they had to come in and inspect everything. But the only way that he could come in and I could get my liquor license was if I had passed all my inspections with plumbing, electrical, and then the final inspection with the city. And so that was what was holding us up, was you never knew when the inspector was going to come. And he, all of a sudden, like, I think it was like 3 days before, decided to show up, and we got our pass, and then we were able to like schedule our like liquor inspection, and then the kitchen was like inspected afterwards from Fraser Health to make sure that we were like abiding by hygiene and health and safety rules. And so everything was just kind of like waiting on one thing. So if one thing it would have been a domino effect if one thing didn't work. And literally like we got like our we got the okay to open, like, I want to say, like, a day before.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so from your marketing mind and your campaign mind.
Yes.
And you're opening on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
People make plans for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Like, how did you approach that? What's the campaign? And, like, I can sense the faith and the will.
Yeah.
But, like, how are you doing this in the logistical end of, like, getting people, like, butts in seats?
Yeah. So from the very beginning, like, even, like, when we were in construction, I think... Let me go backwards. When I work on brands and I work on my brand or someone else's brand or anything, I treat it like it's a $1 billion brand. So the execution of the way that the logos look, the branding looks, the marketing looks, how packaging looks, everything has to be top notch. And so I did that from the very beginning.
And why is that? Why does it have to be top notch? And what is top notch?
I think that's where my kind of just my history from working for the hospitality group back in Australia comes from, was that there everything was so high stakes because everything was a Michelin starred restaurant, or like, you know, these like really,
you don't have opportunity
brands.
to fail.
You don't. No. And if you're like putting out like shit work, or you're like your logo placements are wrong or whatever it may be, and like it just doesn't look right, it affects the brand, which then affects sales. And then that affects jobs.
And that is a part of what people are coming from. You know what it's kind of making me think of? It's like Kobe would always be like, people are flying from around the world to see me play.
Yeah.
So I have to play.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I learned like in Australia. That was something that I learned while I was working for the hospitality group, was that everything just had to be at a certain level. And so when it came to my own business, I kind of brought that kind of thinking with me and was like, okay, everything that I do has to be at this like level. And that's what intrigued a lot of the community in Surrey, was that there was something that was a Vancouver style caliber business that was opening in Surrey, because you didn't see that.
No, it stands out.
It stands out.
Yeah.
So even when we were in construction, it cost me way more money but I had all of the windows cladded with these like vinyl stickers that were like fully covered. I could have just like taped like construction paper to the walls and called it a day. But no, I
know what you're talking about. Okay,
yeah. So it's like hoarding, but it was on the windows because we're in a building like that. But I nicely designed everything, and I wrote something that like intrigued people, and you would only kind of like really see it if you were kind of walking past or you're driving really slow kind of thing. And on the doors, it said like, oh, we're excited to welcome you and have you eat at our table kind of thing. And on the website, you could go on the website and you could sign up for emails to be the first to know when we started, like when we opened and when you could book reservations. So everything was super intentional, just leading up while we were in construction up until the open date. Once we figured out, okay, this is going to be our open date, and I was like, we're opening on Mother's Day, that's when we then sent out emails, posted on our socials, put signs up outside that we are opening on Mother's Day and that you can book your reservation.
And is this your strategy like through your own socials, or like are you doing influencer marketing? Like how are you getting to people?
In the beginning, it's all like our own proprietary stuff. So it's our own socials, it's our own audience, it's whatever we're doing in the beginning before our launch. Everything is like for ourselves. But then when it comes to the launch, and this is where like it gets like really crazy, is we are actually open for I think like 1 week, and then we had the influencer event there, and we had like this massive like media party and stuff. And I want to say that we were kind of like the first to do it.
You crushed it.
Yeah, because I looked at it like a makeup brand. I was like, okay, how do makeup brands launch their products and then it's like the talk of the town? You want to own social. And I was like, I want to own social. So when it came to our influencer party, I was like, or our media party, I was like, I want to own social. I want to be everywhere. I want you to go open up Instagram, TikTok, wherever the hell it may be. I want you to see Rue. So how do I do that?
And you also, the thing that you did really well, I felt, was like you made people want to post about it.
Yes.
That's like makeup brands do that so well. Now I think it's even harder just because so many people do it, right? But that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's the thing you want to post. You want to show that you were here and that you were part of it and you tried it.
Exactly. Like the FOMO.
Yes, you want the FOMO. Yes.
You want to be the hot new girl all the time. And so with the influencer party especially, like we kind of like, we use that as like a way to really blast social and just be everywhere. And that's where when we had your team in and we created these like Met Gala style videos and we gifted that all to the influencers, and the turnaround time was so quick. I remember asking you, I was like, Summan, I was like, can I get these like within 24 hours?
I'm like, you gotta choose your songs now.
And I felt so bad for doing that because I'm so conscious of people that are like editing and like, you know, the creative teams because of working in the corporate world. It needed to be
done that way though.
But it had to be done that way. Yeah. And like your team was working like literally all night for those, but it had the impact that we wanted it to do. We gifted all those videos to the influencers. They posted it all over their socials alongside their content that they took at the event too. And we were all over. We were everywhere. You could not open an app and not see Rue.
So when you and I totally agree with that. Like when you first opened, right?
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you really loved about the space and about the brand, just at the get?
Yeah. So I think I loved how bright and airy the space is, and just how unique it was too. Like it's so different. It's so, there's no other space like it, really. Yeah. And then the brand itself, I feel like there's so many like little like Easter eggs in it. The green and gold is like an homage to Australia. The way, even the name Rue, right? Like Rue, everyone asks me like, oh, how do you first pronounce it? And I'm like, it's not Ruex or Rux, right? It's Rue.
I always thought it was like Rue, like kangaroo.
It's like exactly like that. It's exactly, it's like kangaroo. And that's the, you know, where it kind of comes from. But then it's a little homage to like you know, the French Canadian kind of like, you know, is street roux, like, and so there's little like,
so
it's like so it's like a triple
Yeah.
entendre with like the sauce ROUX, and so it's just like a little mashup.
I love it.
In the beginning, people would call the restaurant, and we would be like, Ruex Cafe and Bar, how can we help you? And they'd be like, that's it. We just wanted to know how to say the name.
No,
and they would hang up on me. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's nice to have a name like that too because then it creates conversation.
Yeah.
But okay, so question, like you have this what I would consider like fabulous launch, right?
Yeah.
And you create this huge splash, you're all over socials.
Yeah.
How are you feeling at this moment? Like I'm assuming you're like, "Oh my God, like amazing." But like where are you at in your entrepreneurial journey? And like now as you see the road ahead, what are you thinking?
Okay, so the launch was great, and like from the outside, it looked amazing. From the inside, I was in shambles. I would go home and I would like get through my garage, and I remember this so distinctly. I'd open my garage and I would collapse and cry,
Tell me more.
would cry for so long. And like
Exhaustion or just
I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Like this is like so much like work. Like I'm like, what am I doing? Like I am not equipped for this. Like I don't know what I'm doing. And it was kind of like all these like things that are in the back of your mind that are, you know, telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, all of these things that it was coming true. And it was from, you know...
What do you mean it was coming true? Because to me, the way I hear it is you're meeting your edges. Like, imposter syndrome doesn't show up unless you're meeting your edges.
Because when people come in, everyone has an opinion. And the really shitty thing about restaurants and anything that in hospitality is that people have to publicize their opinions, whether it be through a TikTok video where they talk shit about you, whether it be a Google review, a Yelp review, OpenTable. It's like people are telling you that your baby is ugly every single day.
Yeah.
Because this is my baby.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have all these things in your mind that like, okay, are people going to like the food? Are they going to like the drinks? Are they going to like the service? Are they going to like the space? Like people would write a review saying the spoons were too big.
Interesting.
And I'm like, guys, give me a break. And so, you know, for years, like we've been around for almost 4 years now, but for the first 2 years, it was like so mentally draining. And I was in such a dark space from it, especially because you were kind of like, okay, how do I get myself, like, how do I fix things? How do I grow? How do I make this better? Because I'm in it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that part, right? Like how in there when you were saying like you got home and you would be just like drop down, you were like, it's on now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Is like you're not in a business where it's like for example, for me, for coaching, let's say self-hired gets very busy.
Yeah.
I can in that quarter decide to only have 2 or 3 clients and not take on so many clients in this other space, right? You don't have that luxury.
No.
Your engine's on, it's like go time, baby.
Yeah.
So like what is because you already are a very responsible person. You're somebody who's willing to take on responsibility. Like that's what I get. Like you're somebody who's willing to pull up your socks and just get the job done. But now you're reaching a whole new freaking level of it. Like what are you doing to get yourself through those thoughts and through that like edge of like, fuck, I have so much more on my plate?
Yeah, I would say my family, I have a really strong support system, my family and my friends. And they are like the constant around me for sure. And there's something that like my dad mentioned to me one of the days when I was collapsed in my garage crying, and I'm actually crying on the phone to him. And he was like, and he said, he's like, you have to stay in Gradi. And it's something that like in the Sikh religion, it's like you have to have this like constant state of positivity. Is that you can't be like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. You have to be like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. So you can't be looking at the negative, you got to be looking at the positive, and then you got to just figure it out. And you got to just move forward and do that. And like, I think that's what really helped me was just being able to like lean on my family, lean on my friends and my support system, but then have that in the back of my mind too, is that just got to keep swimming.
Just keep swimming, yeah. You know, okay, I love the translation there of like, is it
constant state of positivity?
Yeah, it's like.
Hopefully that's right.
Yeah, you know what? It's like it's in the realm. So
but that's what I remember.
Yeah. In there, you're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You're playing with your ability.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you have the ability to create something dope. You know, you have the ability to create a splash. You know, you have the ability to create a beautiful space, and you are in charge of what you are in charge of.
Yeah.
Now you have all these other people, things that you can't control.
Yeah, the external factors.
Yes. So, okay, so as you start changing your mind frame and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I can do this. Like, what changes and what shifts within you? Like, how does that manifest?
What changes and what do you mean?
Like, what changes in your approach? Like, how do you, like, stop coming home every day and crying?
Yeah.
You're like, I still cry.
No.
The way you just looked at me, I was like, bro, that ain't over.
No, I think, yeah, definitely, like, one is that, you know, at the end of the day, no one's going to come and save you. And, like, I'm not a damsel in distress kind of thing. And you have to, like, no one else is going to fix your problems for you. And there isn't going to be the savior kind of thing. And so you just have to figure it out and get the fuck to work. Yeah.
Very, very true. It's true, though.
That's the end. That's it.
You know what it kind of makes me think about, like, is, and you tell me if you want to play here, but, like, you have also, like, you're a big advocate of, like, the gym, working out, like, really pushing yourself in your own limits.
Yeah.
Like, I almost want to ask you, like, what other ways did you challenge yourself to start to strengthen that muscle?
Wait, what muscle, though?
Like, the muscle that says, like,
mindset?
Yeah, your mindset. Yeah. Like, no one's going to save you. Like, it's you versus you.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, like, working out and, like, my personal trainer, he was very much a proponent of that, was that, like, no, like, if you want to, like, lose weight or if you want to look a certain way, you have to put in the work. Like, there's no, like, magical pill that you can take kind of thing, or can now, right?
No, you
but
can.
like, but you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you truly want to achieve the goals,
even with that magical pill, like, you can take the magical pill, and then once your body gets to the place where you want it to, you have to meet that
Maintain
body.
it. Yeah.
Right? You have to maintain it. And if you can't, it won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just like the work ethic, that's what it is. It's just putting in the work. That's what you have to do at the end of the day, regardless of what it is, whether it be your business, whether it be your personal relationships, or how you look, or what you want to achieve in life, is that you got to start today. And, like, there's no, like, oh, I'll, like, start, like, in the new year, like, kind of thing. It's like, no, you start today and you put in the work.
Is there a moment or memory that comes up for you where you, like, really had to realize that?
I would say recently, for sure. So we made a huge pivot this summer. Like, we were Rue was open all day. It was open from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Wild.
Every single day, basically. On Mondays, we had the evening off.
Yeah.
But you were so tired from, like, the week that you didn't really have that off. And it got to a point where I was, like, looking at everything. I was looking at my numbers. I was looking at my personal life, like, what I was doing. I was, like, working so much. And I was like, and the things aren't adding up. I was like, I need to fix this. Like, this is just not working. And, like, it was just getting worse and worse and worse. My numbers were getting worse. My life was getting worse. And I was like, this can't be my life forever. Like, I still have personal goals. I still want to, like, travel and, like, all this stuff. And I just, like, was looking at everything, and I was like, okay, I got a light bulb switch. And I was like, we're going to fix this right now. So then I think it was, like, a decision that I made, like, very quickly, that I was like, we're shutting our dinner service down.
And how did that come to fruition? Like, how did you think of that?
I was just looking at, like, okay, when you split the sales, I was looking at my brunch sales, and I was looking at my dinner sales. My dinner sales consistently always accounted for 30% of my revenue. However, it cost me 50% of my costs, 100% of my fucking headache. Because now going back, I'm like, okay, the original idea was always brunch.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
The original idea was always brunch. It was always a little cafe. And somehow it got, like, stretched into a dinner service as well. And then you were in it. And you were just like, okay, now we have like, these regular customers that come for happy hour, and people know us for dinner too. And like during the holiday season, like we get really busy starting like October, October to end of February, we are really, really busy. And you were like looking at it from like, just from the outside going, okay, like, not looking too deep into the numbers. You're looking at it from the outside and you're like, no, it's great. Like, it's fine. But then it got to a point where I was like really looking at everything and I was like, no, this isn't it anymore. And I also was like, this isn't my original idea. This isn't what inspired me. This isn't what my why was, right? My why was to bring cool brunch to Surrey.
Yeah.
And something fun. And so I was like, you know what? We're shutting down our dinner service. And then in the back of my mind, I was like, I always wanted to have like more of a casual like area, like a cafe space. And in my mind, I was like, okay, we're going to open it in January. And then we got into maybe...
And this is January what?
January 2026.
Okay.
I was like, I'm going to open it in January 2026. So this past August 31st was our last dinner service. And so we got into like 3 days of September. And I'm like looking around and I'm like, we're going to open in a month.
Y'all better get to work.
I was like, so I looked at my team and I was like, guys, I'm really sorry. I was like, but we're opening the cafe side in a month.
So what had to change?
We had to hire really fast. So we had to hire really fast. We had to come up with a more casual cafe style menu with like pastries and cookies and croissants and that kind of stuff. So we had to do all the menu testing for that. We had to then bring in like more like takeaway friendly things and cafe friendly things. We had to change what the setup of the actual restaurant looked like.
So the seats and stuff?
The seats and just like now we don't have bar seats. We don't have a bar that you can sit at anymore. That's been replaced with a pastry case. We had to add another bar, to build another bar. And then we had to like rearrange furniture. And there's a huge back end too, changing the POS system, changing the open table because open table will look at how many seats there are. And then your reservations are then built on, based off of that. So there's a lot of like on the technical side too, changing all those things too. And so there was a lot of work that went into it. But me being me, I was like, we're going to make a splash. We're going to launch this like a makeup brand. And so we came up with this huge marketing push. We gave away, I think it was like 100 coffees to the first 100 people got a free coffee. And then we also, like our unique selling proposition is that we can our iced drinks.
Tell me about this. You can your iced drinks. Like, what is that?
So instead of using like a regular kind of like a pet cup, which is like plastic and like, just something that you put a straw through kind of thing, we were like, okay, we had brought these cans in before anyway, and they were for events. So we would can like iced drinks and iced matchas at the restaurant, and then we would take them to our events, so our Pilates and brunch, if we were doing any offsite events, and even for like the odd like catering gig, like we would offer that. And people would always ask us, oh, can I get these like at the store? Or, can I get this like on a regular basis? And we were like, no, like it's just for events. And then we were like, we were gonna open the cafe side, and I was like, you know what? I was like, where people have been asking for it, we're gonna do this, and it's been so successful, too successful, in fact, that I actually ran out. And
they're so pretty.
They're so cute.
Yeah. It goes back to that thing, like you want to post about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we actually ran out this week, and the new ones, like I had ordered more, of course, and they don't arrive until like Friday, I believe. And so it was really sad that like anybody that came in, I was like, I'm so sorry, but here's a free cookie.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a lot of pivoting. Now being in the new pivot, like what are you, because you were saying like my life wasn't at the place where necessarily was I feeling like I was going to thrive, right?
Yeah.
Like where are you at now where you're like, what is creating excitement for you? What are you hoping for this like new pivot in your business? Because it's very fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before, when we had our dinner service, I was physically at the restaurant every single day, working like 16 hours. Like insane. And I never had any time or energy or bandwidth or just mental capacity to work on growing the business or doing anything else. And I think that's what I'm really excited for now, is that because I have time, we close at 5:00, and the way that the business operates now is like so much more, it's just so much better that I have more time to like work on like things to help the business. And so we're doing like so many more like events. Like we're doing like events with like cool people. We're doing like so many more like catering things, but in a very unique way. So like just like how we do so much in our branding with our catering, we take all that branding and put it for the catering. So we did this like really cool event for Olive and Piper for their like launch, and everything was branded Olive and Piper. So there was no Rue in sight, and that's how I want it to be. I want it that you don't know who
If
really
you know,
cater,
you
you know kind
Yeah.
of thing. But everything, it looked like it was like a Summer Fridays event or an
Dude, it
Aloe
was
Yoga
beautiful.
event. Yeah.
I think you guys were doing macaroni or something like that, and I loved it. There was like a live element, and I was at something else, and there was like a crepe thing.
Yeah.
I just love like whenever there's some sense of live element.
Experience.
It just feels, exactly. It
Yeah.
feels more like, ooh, I'm here. Yeah. I'm invited to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel more special.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, and then the live experiences as well as like the custom branding, it just like makes the catering look so much more fun. And so getting to work with some really cool brands, like we're working with like Legree West and like, you know, like L'Oreal and Salon Centric. And like, these are people that, you know, they're finding out about how cool we execute, and like that's how we're doing it. And so being able to work on those kind of projects, and then just doing more like fun events, like we have Pilates and brunch, which is like so major.
So much fun.
Yeah. And that was literally just inspired by like how I like to brunch in Australia. Literally. Like I was like, oh, like on the weekend, like we go to Pilates and then we have brunch. And I was like, ding, 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 idea.
Yeah. It's like literally how girls love to hang out.
Yes, exactly. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to create a space where you can have Pilates, you can do Pilates and then have brunch right after.
I thought you did it, like, did such a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, question though. So if somebody on the other side was like, hey, maybe branding is not my strong suit. Maybe execution isn't my strong suit. I'm going to ask you two questions.
Okay.
So question number one is, if you were to give them 1 to 2 tips for what to really focus on when they're branding, what would that be?
What to focus on when they're branding? I think less is always more. Yeah.
Tell me more. Why?
So less is just simple, elegant. Less is always more. When it comes to like, I have this rule that was actually taught to me recently. But I like, that's the thing about like marketing and branding and everything. You're always evolving. You're always learning, because even the big brands, they change their logo, they upgrade their logos and stuff too. And this creative director taught me that you have 3 moves on anything that you're doing. So when you look at like fonts, or you look at like when you're writing text, right? You change the font, that's one move. You change the size, it's another move. You change the color, it's another move. So when you're looking at a document, or you're looking at a graphic, you know, social media post, whatever it may be, less is always more, and you only want to be doing things, you know, like the 3 moves rule. Yeah.
And why don't you want to do more?
It just gets too cluttered.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're kind of like, and I think even like you can relate that into business too, is that, you know, you want to be known for what you are really good at. You don't want to be known for, and I do this, and I do that, and I do that, and I do that kind of thing, right? Know what you're good at, and then you kind of go run with it. And I think the same thing applies to branding and marketing, is that less is always more.
Yeah, I totally, I can see that in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so then my other question is, if somebody else is on the other side of this podcast and they're trying to get to that stage of personal responsibility where they, like my friend Heinz, he said this in one of his reels. It went super viral. But I love what he said. He was just like, if your boss told you to show up at 8 a.m., you'd show up. I think he said 7 a.m. If they tell you to come and clean the toilets, you'd clean the toilets. If they tell you to go and do X, you'll do X. So why, when you say, I'm going to post this, you don't do it? And he's talking a lot of, I think, the way I infer it is like self-respect, right? And that responsibility piece of just like put your money where your mouth is and like do what you say you're going to do and like be about it, right? So if somebody else is on the other side of this and they're learning how to strengthen that ability within themselves, like what's some advice that you have for them?
That is so major. Yeah. You definitely have to walk the walk. If you're going to talk the talk, you need to walk the walk. You can't just like say you're going to do things. You got to do it. And I think where my advice is that you're not going to be perfect, to give yourself grace. I think there's seasons in life, there's ebbs and flows for sure, but you should always be continuously working towards that goal. So regardless of what it is, if it's like you're working out, your business, you want to like get to a certain like, you know, grow your social media or whatever it may be. Yeah, there might be a day or two that you don't work out, you don't post something, but you have to be kind to yourself. But then at the back of your mind, you go, but I'm going to be better tomorrow and I'm going to do it. But you definitely have to walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk.
100%.
Yeah.
And it feels so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I lied. Last thing is, because I think you have such a unique experience of also like how you're like, you know, the spoons are too big and you have all these people giving you feedback. How did you learn what feedback to take?
Yeah.
And what feedback to just like leave?
To like ignore. Yeah. I think it's just having confidence and faith in what I'm doing. Yeah. So something like people were like, oh, you should have drip coffee. No, I'm not going to have drip coffee. I'm going to have...
Ain't nobody fuck with drip coffee.
No, right? That's not the brand.
That's not the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have multiple people tell me, oh, drip coffee. There's actually like there's two parts to this. People would always tell me you need to have drip coffee, right? And I'm like, no, I don't need to have drip coffee. Like come in, you can, if you want a black coffee, you can have an Americano. However, we make really good flat whites. We have delicious lattes, make a mean cappuccino, and there's an experience to the coffee aspect because we are Australian brunch. What is synonymous with Australia? It's the coffee culture in Australia.
Yeah.
So we're going to have good coffee with our brunch.
Yeah.
We're not going to have drip coffee. Also, drip coffee, like, it's kind of gross because it's constantly brewing, right? And you have to dump it out. A lot of places don't dump it out. They're giving you shit coffee.
And it starts to taste burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other part that I wanted to mention was that people will always tell you what you should do.
Tell me more.
Right? Something that everybody would tell me was that you need to throw a brunch party. And I'm like, no, like, but people would always be like, no, you need to throw a brunch party. Like, it'd be so good. Like, there's nothing like that in Surrey, And then I threw a brunch party.
Yeah, I was like, I think I'm pretty positive I saw a brunch party for you.
And it was the worst thing ever.
Why?
Okay, it just was not the crowd.
Yeah.
Right? It was so silly. The execution of it, like, just wasn't right. It did not fit my brand. It's not what I'm about. It's not what the business is about. The business is wholesome, right? It's not a, like, boozy brunch party. And also, Surrey's not ready for it yet, right? When you go out and you are at a day party, you want to continue the party.
Yes.
And you want to go somewhere else.
Yes.
And you want to go to another club, a bar, you know, whatever it may be. But you want to continue the party. You can't do that right now in Surrey.
No.
You have to hop on a train or you have to get an Uber and then go downtown or go to Langley or go somewhere else, right? It's not the vibe yet.
It's not within the vicinity of where you're at.
But this is when somebody else doesn't know your business intimately, giving you advice. And then, like, but you learn from it, right? Now I know. I'm like, I'm never doing this ever again.
The part in there that sticks is the part where you refine your own relationship with your own intuition and your own inner voice. And you're like, hey, this is what works for me. This is not what works for me. Some people may have great ideas.
Yeah.
But does it resonate? Does it land?
Yeah.
And how does it germinate within me? You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like allowing it to sit and be versus like, trying to be everything for everyone. Like, I love how you were like, it's not authentic to the brand. Because when I see your brand and I kind of close my eyes, I'm like, I just like would want to, like, if I was to have an event there, I'd want to wear a pretty dress, bright colors, have a bunch of girls, and just like be more like classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's what it is that everyone's going to have an opinion on what you should do. But at the end of the day, like, the buck stops with you, and you are the only person that can make the decision.
Facts. Well, Jasmine, where can people find you online?
RueCafeandBar.com.
Oh, thank you so much. How was this for you today?
It was really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you ever do a podcast again?
I don't know.